Okay, so today we're going to talk about sequences, how to identify sequences. Specifically, we're going to work with recursive and explicit sequences, and we'll talk about how we could use function notation to help us identify parts of a sequence. So a lot of good stuff today. Function notation, remember, is that f of x notation that we've already spoke of extensively in class. So let's get started. So first off, what is a sequence? Well, a sequence is just a list of numbers in a specific order. And each element in a sequence would be called a term. So, for example, let's say we have, I want to change colors to white. Let's say we have 7, 14, 21, 28, ... This would be a sequence. And each number here would be a term. Okay? This ... would mean that that the sequence would in fact go on forever and ever and ever. And we're going to talk more about terms in the next slide and position and all that, but basically what you need to know is a sequence is a list of numbers in a specific order, and hopefully you already know that, and we've mentioned a little bit about sequences in class already, and just know that term is just each element in the sequence. Okay, so let's move. All right, so here we have a sequence, and we'll ignore the scenario. I mean, you could read the scenario if you want on your own, but this is a sequence. It's a list of numbers in a specific order, so order really matters. This ... just means that it'll go on forever and ever and ever. And like I said, a sequence is a list of numbers in a specific order. So order matters here. So that means in my first position, my output is always going to be 7. My second position, my output is always going to be 9. My third position, my output's always going to be 11. My fourth position, my output's always going to be 13. So so with sequences, the way we list our numbers matters, and we could write this in function notation easily because position is going to be your input, and your output, the term, is going to depend on your position. Remember, output always depends on input. A range always depends on domain. So at position 1, my term is going to be 7. At position 2, my term is going to be 9. And you would read this as f of 2 equals 9. And we already know that. We've discussed that in class. So f of 3, my position is at 3, my term would be 11. When my position is 4, my term would be 13, and so on, and so on, and so on. So that's how we would write this. So our first big vocabulary word is explicit rule. And explicit rule, here's a long definition for you, but it's basically just an equation that's going to let us find any term, any specific term in a sequence. And they're generally a lot easier to work with than recursive rules, which we're going to talk about in a moment. But we could find any specific term without finding any of the previous terms with an explicit rule, and I'll show you an example of this in a moment. Whereas when we get to recursive rule in just a few slides, we would need those previous terms. So explicit rules, a sequence that has an explicit rule is a little easier to work with. So let's take a look at one let's take a look at a sequence that would have an explicit rule. Okay, so here we have a sequence that would have an explicit rule. So we're given this function, and we're asked to find the first 4 terms of the sequence. So with explicit rules, it's just like we've done before with functions. We just plug in our inputs, find our outputs. We plug in our positions, we'd find the terms. So for the first position, which would be f of 1, we would just plug in 1 and we'd find our first term. This is our position 1. What's our term at that first position? Well, it would just be 2 times 1, right? Minus 1, and that is all squared, okay? Which would just be 1 squared, which is 1. At our second position, again, this is just what we've been doing before. We just plug in 2, find our output, so it would be 3 squared, which would just be 9. at our third position, it would be 5 squared, which would be 25. And in our fourth position, it would be 7 squared, which would be 49. So that's all. That's all you would need to do with explicit rules. And explicit rules are a lot easier to work with because all you're doing is plugging your inputs and you could easily find your outputs. You don't need to depend on the previous term. So what do I mean by not needing to depend on the previous term? Well, let's take a look at the second part of this problem. It says, then find the 10th term. Okay? The 10th term. Do we need to keep finding the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th term to find the 10th term? Not with explicit. With explicit, you could just look at this as an equation, which is a lot different from our recursive rule, which we're going to talk about in a moment. So, if we're looking for the 10th term, all we need to do is find f of 10. We need to find f of 10. We need to solve this the way we've done before with functions. So we would just plug in 10 for our input value and figure out our output. Okay? Which would be 19 squared, and 19 squared would be 361. Okay, so at position 10, our term would be 361. Okay, now this one's a little different because this time it's saying that the number 125 is a term of the sequence, but we don't know what the position is. So we're looking for the position. So which term in the sequence, that's position, which term in the sequence is 125? Okay, so with this one, I mean, we would just, so what's our sequence? Well, it's an explicit sequence, and this is our function. F of n equals 3n plus 2. Okay, where n is your input. N would stand for position. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for what the position is at 125. So f of n equals 125. We're looking for the position, but we know that our term is going to be 125. So how would we solve this? The same way that we would solve just any regular equation. So we know that f of n is going to be 125. So instead of writing f of n here, I already know my term is 125. I'm just looking for that position value. So I could set this up like an equation. 125 equals 3n plus 2. And I'm solving for, and remember, n is your input. It's your, and in this, with sequences, your input is going to stand for your position value. And that's what we're looking for. That's all you would need to do. And you would solve this the same way you would solve any regular equation. You just subtract 2 on both sides. And you and then just divide by 3, and you would get your answer, which is n equals 41. So our position when our term is 125 would be 41. So with explicit rules, when you're given the term and you're asked to find the position, you would just solve this the way you would solve any regular equation. It's a bit different though with our next type of sequence, which is recursive. So with recursive sequences, previous terms matter. Okay, so recursive relates the next term to your previous term. So you need your previous term in order to figure out what your next term of your sequence is going to be. Okay, so obviously you would not be able to figure out or solve a recursive rule without getting a starting value. So with recursive rules, you're always going to be given a starting value. So let's take a look at what a recursive rule sequence would look like. And at first, this is going to be a little confusing. Recursive rules are always a bit confusing at first to kind of understand. So we'll do a few examples, and you should do a few examples on your own. But here we have this recursive sequence, and we're given our first term. So at position 1, we know that our term is 35. That's what this means. F of 1, that's position 1. That's the same as when we were doing explicit. That stands for position. At position 1, our output, our term, is going to be 35. Now our function, though, here looks a bit different, because here we have f of n equals f of n minus 1 minus 2. Well, what does this mean? Well, if we're looking for f of 1, we already know f of 1, which is 35. But if we're looking at f of 2, well, f of 2 would just be f of 2 minus 1 minus 2, which is f of 1 minus 2. You get that? It's a little confusing, but at f of 2, at position 2, if we're plugging this into the recursive sequence, it would be 2 minus 1, which is f of 1. And we know what f of 1 is. F of 1 is 35. So another way of thinking of this is when you see f of n minus 1, it just means previous term. It just means previous term. And you could write that down in your notes if you wish. But so f of n equals f of n minus 1 minus 2. This right here just means your previous term. Okay, so that means if we're looking for f of 2, well, it would just be f of 2 minus 1, which is f of 1, which was our previous term. What was our previous term? 35 minus 2. So f of 2 is going to be 33. Do you get that? So what would f of 3 be? Well, remember, our sequence here is previous term minus 2. So it's f of n minus 1. We're looking for f of 3. So n minus 1 would be 2. So what was our term at f of 2? 33. So it would be 33 minus 2, which is 31. Right? So f of 4, and I think they asked you for 4 terms. F of 4, remember our function is over here, f of n minus 1 minus 2. So f of n minus 1 just stands for your previous term. What was your previous term? 31. So it would be 31 minus 2, which is 29. Does that make sense? So, and we'll do more examples of this in class today or tomorrow. But that's basically it. With recursive, we really need our previous term, and we just go from there. So let's do another example with the recursive rule. So here we have f of 1 equals 3. So remember, with recursive, they have to give you your first term. So at position 1, we know our term is going to be 3. They didn't give us our first term, we wouldn't be able to figure out the first 5 terms. So if we're asked to figure out the first 5 terms, well, what would we do? Well, we have our first term, which is right here, and we have our function, which is f of n equals f of n minus 1, and that's all squared. And remember, this f of n minus 1 just means your previous term. So if we're looking for f of 2, well, what was our previous term? F of 2, previous would be f of 1. What was our term at f of 1? 3. So what would this be? This entire thing here would just be 3. Sorry. And that's squared. 3 squared is 9. Okay, so that means, I'll write this in a different color, f of 2 equals 9. And this is important because we're going to need this in order to figure out f of 3. F of 3 is going to be f of n minus 1. That means our previous term. Our previous term, f of 2, was 9. So that means we're plugging in 9. We'd have 9 squared, which is 81. And you need it. You need that previous term in order to figure out the next term. So, I'll write this in a different color. F of 3 is 81. And you would not be able to figure out f of 4 if you didn't know f of 3. So next we'll figure out f of 4. Do it in blue. F of 4 is going to be, well, f of n minus 1, that's our previous term, so that would be f of 3, and that was 81. I hope this is making a little bit more sense now. So that would be 81 squared, which is 6,561. Okay, and then I think it's asking for the first 5 terms, so we would need one more term. Let me move this up a little, and I'd have to use a different color. Actually, I can still use blue. So we have f of 5, and we need our 4th term in order to figure out our 5th term. So at position 5, it would be 6,561 squared, which is, give me 1 second because I'm going to put this in a calculator. 4,0,4,6. And that's it. And we'll stop there. But that's it. That's what you would do with your recursive rule. Just you would need your previous terms. You depend on your previous terms in order to figure out the next term, and not as easy to work with as explicit. And we're gonna do more examples and talk more about this in class. All right. Have a great day.